It's crazy to think that we just witnessed what I consider to be on par an action sequence to that of Toto and Yuji versus Mother Nature there. Megumi and what Megumi can do has been, I think, probably one of the most intriguing aspects of Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, Sukuna, King of Curses, is intrigued by Megumi and saying Megumi is holding himself back. If someone like that is claiming that a character who we think is strong, but we're assuming, in shonen battle logic, I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling this, when you first start a series, you see a character like Yuji. Sure, not the most powerful character yet. He'll be the most powerful character, and probably very quickly will be the most powerful in the main group. But Megumi was strong, but if you're having characters like the King of Curses say, this character's intriguing, and that of everyone that we've seen, this is the character that he has his eye on the most, there's something holding him back. And I've been waiting, and personally, I'll say, for the past few months, I haven't been thinking all that much about it. I know he's powerful, I've seen his abilities improve over the weeks, but I didn't think Season 1 would truly show us a glimpse of what this man is capable of. And after seeing it, I'm terrified, I'm excited, I am blown away. Expansion, where he finally gets serious. He finally unleashes some of those shadows. The bloody face laughing, saying it's messy, but it's gonna be good enough for what we're dealing with. Opponent very similar to that when Yuji and him were fighting in the tunnels there. Probably different, but still, it's, we had to run away from that the first time. To have Megumi, a character who ran away from this type of curse before, now is no longer running away from what he can do. It was horrifying, it was smoothly animated, and it felt like a villain. I absolutely love it when a battle shonen will go the route of making the character's abilities so disgustingly evil looking, but you can't help but cheer them on. And while I was worried about what this man was going to look like after the battle, I knew in that moment he was going to succeed. And to see that, to see the line work, the color palette, every time we get any sort of expansion or just any sort of King of Curses level color palette, the reds and the blacks and how it just feels like you've been sucked to the pits of hell. And if you thought there was an escape, there isn't. Whoever summons that type of power, that's probably going to be the victor. And I'm like, hot damn. Megumi as a character has been such an intriguing point of view ever since he's had a clashing of ideals with Yuji back in the tunnels. I always love how it's not this type of ideals that because Yuji has a different thought process on how to save people or what he does, means they can't work together. They just sometimes disagree and will part ways, like how my boy Megumi was running away, he didn't want to save the prisoners originally back in the tunnels in the first court, right? And to see an episode like this where, the whole point of this is to save his sister. We learn a lot about his sister and, the mother and the father of each and how eventually they just kind of vanish into thin air. The idea of how, everyone got introduced to this world. But to see, even when he was in school, when you would beat up those scummy people, his sister would get mad saying, hey, I thought you weren't going to fight. And he has this very, I think, out of every battle series type character, if I was to ever make a top 10, so to speak, of characters' psyches, personalities, or just who they are as a person, Megumi without a doubt would be in that top 10 because I love his way of thinking, even if I don't personally agree with everything he says. I think the idea of how he looks at it, because you start a scene that probably in most authors' hands would be whatever. I don't like bad people because, they always talk down to people. It's what you expect. But then he says, I also don't like good people because they forgive those bad people and they think forgiveness is this great thing. He's going on both ends saying I hate the way the world is. And he has this very middle ground point of view. And I love having a character like that contrast a very, I think, positive and bright character like Yuji, who Yuji himself has massively grown, especially ever since his friend's death there. And we got a very familiar scene to that of Fullmetal Alchemist. I love how the characters are evolving their thought process and not just flipping a switch and becoming someone different. Megumi, after he has the finger and he's thinking of his sister, he just realizes that because he was a kid, he missed represented what his sister was, and the similar way to how he was choosing who to protect and who is good or who is bad and all that type of stuff. She was choosing who to worry about, and that just happened to be her little brother. I think the show is great for giving you those backstories, but not doing it in a cliche way. I mean, back months ago, when we got, Best Boy's backstory, and we're going up against characters who were like, oh man, if you get a backstory and a character's cool looking, that means the character's gonna die. But our salesman got out of there just fine. Megumi gets his backstory clarified even more, and in most cases you would assume backstory equals character death. If you're throwing a backstory in the middle of a life or death battle, that usually means a character is gonna die. And honestly, I got worried for a second. I was like, this ability is either gonna kill him, or if something's going to slash him, we're not gonna see it coming. And to see him, get out of it, and as much as I would love to say got out of it unharmed, I mean, that was a brutal fight. And the animation, the artwork, I mean, you kick off the episode with a gorgeous animation with Yuji just pummeling this character, and you end it with something that makes the intro of the fight look just okay in comparison. The production behind this is insanity. It's insane to look at this, and honestly, Jujutsu Kaisen would have been an enjoyable experience just for the battles alone. 100%. I don't think many people would argue that fact. But I love these characters. I love the clarification of what led them to become who they were at the beginning of the show, and putting into perspective who they were before the show started, and seeing where they've evolved to now. It's so great to get that type of build-up, the backstory, the development that we've seen in the present day. It's exceptional, and to even have comedic relief in something as heavy as this, with a dude with a demonic back who's like, if you look at my back, I'll kill you. And of course, Yuji just had to pop in being like, oh, hey, no, bro, what's going on over there? This show, it's sad to know that it's going out next week. I think out of all the shows that are ending this season, this is without a doubt one of the shows I'm going to be most sad to see leave. And I hope to see a second season, not only just a second season that can mirror the passion, the quality, and the substance that this series has laid out. It's incredible. Mappa hit it out of the park. And for an episode dominated by stunning visuals and insane action, the thing that I take away the most out of this episode is once again appreciating Megumi's character all the more, and the voice acting that goes behind those words to make it feel like a real person believing in what they're saying rather than just an actor in a booth recording a script saying, I'm angry and I'm fighting. There's a lot to Megumi's character, and it's good to see the voice actors across the board nail their personas exceptionally well. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. What did you think of episode 23 of Jujutsu Kaisen, and how do you think it's all going to wrap up with next week's episode? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.